Hey guys, it is Farrell. Welcome back to my vlog channel. Today is February 27th. It is around 12:45 p.m. and it is 58 degrees outside. And I'm finally here to talk about what happened with my work injury and my hip and the insurance company and all of that stuff that started last year. So let's just get right into it, okay? April 9th, 2024, 10:30 a.m. I'm clocked in. I am really not having a whole lot of work to do because my hours have just been reduced, and it's a whole backstory. I was carrying a tray of pizza dough, doing my breadsticks, which usually is the last thing that I do of the day, but like I said, I did not have a whole lot of work, so I was starting with my end task first because it was just the biggest thing I had to do. And I'm walking through the kitchen of the pizzeria that I work at, holding this big tray of dough, walking, and I can't really see when I'm holding the tray because it comes out far in front of me, and my arms are basically like out all of the way carrying the tray. And there was like a small amount of like either margarine or grease. I still don't know. I don't know if anybody ever found out what it was. But I was walking and I slipped in the kitchen and I flew forward. Like I just flew forward. And the Coke machine was like right there. And so like when I fell forward, my head and face and shoulder all slam into this Coke machine, and the tray comes back and slams into this side of my face. Like it left a line right here for a while. And then my knee hit the tile, which is the tile's just on concrete floor, and it like jolted everything up into my body, and I basically like slammed into it like a Looney Tunes character, like an accordion, just whack. It was horrible. And instantly, like I see like sparks and blue and yellow and like all these colors in my vision, and it hurt so bad. And I remember like one of the owners actually saw it happen, and like she was instantly on it. She was like, sit still, don't move, let me check your head, you don't move until we find out if you have a concussion, don't try and get up in case you are hurt. So that was really good. Like obviously you want a boss that's gonna be normal about it, a work injury, take it very seriously. I went to the ER that day. They called my partner to come and get me, and he drove me to the ER. I did not have a concussion, luckily. I just had contusions, which is like I think the medical term for a bruise. I'm not sure. But I almost passed out. It was a lot. They ordered me a TENS unit at the ER, which I don't have. I never got that. The insurance company was supposed to handle it. They never did. And I went back and forth with them so many times, and my PT also went back and forth with it. Anyway, it took the insurance company over a month to contact me in the first place, even though everything was reported immediately. Classic. And it drained my savings, which I don't know if anyone notices. My teeth are kind of messed up. The savings were for my teeth. That shit's gone. It was devastating. So like I had these reduced hours, and they put me on workman's comp, so I did get some money. I get some money weekly. It's 2/3 of my pay, but that is then the pay that had been reduced a week before because an old friend of the owners wanted their references for a job that apparently she didn't even need, and they were like, well, why would you work somewhere else when you could just come work here? And so they gave her my job of cleaning because I was doing cleaning and prep. So that took about $36 a day off my check, which does not seem like a lot, but if you multiply it by 5 and then understand that I got paid $4 more an hour to clean than I did to do prep in the first place, it really adds up. So I was getting 2/3. I'm getting 2/3 of the reduced pay, which is dumb. My savings, I'm never gonna financially recover from this, but it's a whole thing. My first adjuster, who took a really long time to contact me, we will call her Allison because that was her name. Allison, you sucked. She called me and left this message that was like, I heard about what happened. I am so sorry. Everything is going to be taken care of. In fact, it's basically already taken care of. You don't even need to call me back unless you have questions. You don't even need to call me back. That's like a weird thing. And it immediately set off red flags because, like, as an American, I just know better than to trust insurance companies and the healthcare system that we have. Like, I have just grown up in that world where you are inherently non-trusting. So I wrote down some questions that I had, and then I also went to the internet and was like, I don't really know what else I should ask, etc. And a bunch of people came forward and they were like, this, and I had like 10 to 15 questions. I don't really remember anymore. I had a bunch. So I called her back, and she actually was like, she was polite, right? Like, she was polite, but she did not seem equipped to answer even all of my questions, and was kind of like shocked that I even knew to ask some of these things, like as if I'm not going to get a second opinion, like as if I'm just gonna be like, oh, she said it's fine, so I'm gonna believe her. No, I've just had a very big injury. We don't even know what all is fully wrong aside from the fact that I don't have a concussion. So anyway, 4 to 6 months, I did not hear from her very many times, like at all. And the last few times I heard from her, I had like 3 consecutive like voicemails that like, so like basically that you have your adjuster for short term, and then if you go long term with this company, I don't know if it's the same for all of them, you get a new adjuster that will handle your long term case. So at the very end of the short term case, when I found out that I was going to be switched to a different adjuster, I found that out because the new adjuster called me. The next day, I had like 3 voicemails from her that were like, I need you to call me urgently. Da 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 da. I never did. She wasn't my adjuster anymore. She tried to call me like months too late to handle anything. I don't know if she got in trouble for that, but I hope that she did. Because I brought it up to the new adjuster. I was like, she didn't want to tell me anything, and she didn't help me with anything. Now, I will reiterate, she was polite. I will always give her that all day long. Allison, you were so polite. Learn to be helpful. I don't know. Do your job. The new adjuster, listen, let's go back. So June comes around, all right? We're in June. And I buy a cane because I just finally accepted that I kind of need it sometimes, and I still don't use it as much as I should be, to be honest. Sometimes I really like it, sometimes I really don't. Sometimes I'll be walking with it and I'll kick it with my own damn foot, and then I'm like, is this a help or a hindrance? Am I gonna hurt myself? Because I'm just like, my gait is different. I walk different than I used to, and I'm just not as stable as I was, even with the cane, which part of it is I think I'm still learning to use it, and I just need to practice with it more, but it's very intimidating to me. Anyway, my second adjuster. He's my current adjuster, and I don't know if I feel as comfortable dropping his name, even if it would just be a first name, just because my case is still open. So for now, we're gonna put that on a shelf, but my adjuster's a he, him. I told this man my name and pronouns twice. It never registered with him. Like, we mostly corresponded through the app. The company has an app for corresponding. Some people prefer it to phone calls. I opted to use the app. He never corrected himself, and so eventually I just gave up on it because it was going to be way too infuriating, and I was just like, let's just get this over and done with. Let's just get it over with, whatever. Anyway, he would schedule phone call appointments and things like that, or he would say, call me if you need anything, etc. I would call him during his hours. I probably called him 8 to 10 times, and he never answered. And that does include our scheduled phone calls that he would talk about, like, the day before in the messages. The day before. The very next day, nothing. I was going to PT. Things were going great with PT. My physical therapist is nice. She's not just polite, like, she's genuinely kind and genuinely helpful, and she's also went up to bat with me. She tried to get him to use my name and pronouns, and he acted like he had no idea what she was talking about. Rude. But basically, whenever you get approved for a certain amount of PT appointments. I would do all my appointments and they would request more. And I would say about 60% of the time they were prompt. There was twice that I had 6-week breaks in between PT, and I could do some stuff at home, but not a lot of it, not by myself. And everybody else at my house works, so it's not like everybody could have eyes on me all the time while I tried to do the upkeep of my PT. So that did set me back a couple of times. I was allowed to, around this time, see a doctor exactly once. He was like, "Why didn't you see me the first week of your injury?" And I was like, "They didn't even call me for like a month." And we had this great back and forth about how insurance companies can be, and I have not seen him since. It has been, I'm pretty sure, 11 months. Like, let's count like the count. Like, 1 month, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. That's 11. We're at the end of February. That's 11 months. I've only seen the doctor once. I wanted to see him more. I asked him if I could go back a few times, and he was like, "What for?" And I'm like, "My mental health is really tanking." And he was like, "Well, we can't approve any doctor's appointments like for your mental health until you get a referral." And I'm like, "I know. That's why I'm asking you if I can see this doctor so that I can get a referral." And he was like, he would either talk around it or he would simply ignore my messages. And like I said, he wasn't taking my phone calls. So most of my correspondence has been in this app. I couldn't afford to go to the doctor like financially on my own. Like I said, my savings were drained. And so I've just been really bad off in that way. And that's part of why I haven't been like streaming as much, doing as much of my other stuff that I've been doing, just because I feel really sad all the time and I can only focus for a little while at a time. Like today has been a really good day, but one good day out of 11 months, that's not great. I was in so much pain. Like, eventually my shoulder did get better. I did the PT. I saw an ortho specialist. She gave me a shot in my shoulder. It was weird. It didn't help a whole lot. Eventually I started to get my mobility was good. My mobility's been like it came back pretty fast. One of the people that I was seeing though did say that that's not necessarily an indicator, because I do have some, like, a certain level of hypermobility. So that's one of those things that you have to be. Why am I getting a phone call? Oh, they hung up. Sorry about that. Anyway, it eventually got better, but the shot in the shoulder, it did not really help. It was weird. Also, she sprayed me with this stuff and it felt like ice cold, and I didn't feel the actual shot go in. But that's part of why it was weird. My knee still clicks sometimes where it didn't used to, but it's not painful. So ultimately we did drop that from my PT. They declared it better. But I think part of why it still feels weird sometimes is because my hip is still got a labrum tear. I did 2 MRIs. One was for my shoulder, the other was for my hip. And yeah, they were like, "Okay, you've got a tear." Let's see, what happened then? It's been so long, you guys. Oh, I was finally referred by my ortho because she could do the shot for my shoulder. She recommended to try a shot for my hip, even though she felt at this long time, it had been so long, she was like, "I feel like surgery might be an option for you, but the company will not approve it unless you've done every single other step in conservative care, which includes a shot." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's try it." And she's like, "Well, I can't do it. It's a very finesse situation, but I can refer you." And she did, and then she also discharged me because there was nothing else she could really do for me at that time. I went to see a surgeon. Well, I've learned so much about the world of surgery. You don't just meet the surgeon when you're referred to the surgeon, you meet their associates, etc. And one of the surgeon's associates gave me the shot. He's also a doctor. He's just not the surgeon. He gave me the shot, and when I tell you this shot in my hip was so weird and so uncomfortable, and it did not even help. The process, if you're icked out by this, I'm really sorry. I will keep it brief. But he went in with the shot, and it's like a steroid. And they have a ultrasound thing on my hip bone, basically, so they could know where to go. And the ultrasound thing pressing on my hip with the needle in my hip, I couldn't move if I wanted to. I felt like immobilized, but it was so uncomfortable. Feeling a needle move inside of you is just a horrible, weird. It didn't even hurt. It just felt wrong, just so wrong. But it didn't help either. And I went back to the surgeon's office at the end of January, and I actually met the surgeon this time. And I was, recommended surgery, and it took until around now, the end of February, to even get that approval, which is wild, because when I got my appointment scheduled for the it was January 30th, that was the soonest they could get me in. And at the time, it was like November. And I sent my adjuster that message, and I was like, all right, the soonest I could get it was January 30th, but I do have a set appointment. 3 weeks go by, and he calls, and he's like, did you ever get that appointment made? And I'm like, yeah, for January 30th, as per my last email. And he straight up was like, oh, that's not quite good enough. And I was like, taken back, kind of, like, it's not, I can't do the scheduling. I would love to be seen sooner, but like, they've got a full waiting list. And he was like, let me see if I can do anything. January 30th comes, and I have never heard from him since then. And then I go to my appointment. I tell him that I need surgery, and it finally gets approved now. And it has been so long. It has just been so long. I only correspond with him now if I absolutely have to, because I just know that there's no point. But at the same time, I refuse to give up. I think that's part of what I've heard from everybody that has been in the medical side of this towards me. Like, I have expressed, like, this feels really weird, and they're like, unfortunately, it's not. You usually get two scenarios in these situations. One is they push you through way too fast, and the other is they slow everything down and drag it all out. And it has been suggested to me that sometimes they do the latter because they just kind of want you to give up. And as someone who can't financially have that option to give up, I won't. Like, I can't. I truly cannot. I can't just go back to work. My work is very physical. I have to be able to lift 20 bags of flour that are 50 pounds each from the ground. So I pick them up on our delivery days, and I carry them to the back, and then I stack them up on each other. So it starts to the ground and goes up to my chest. I do that around 4 times to get all this flour done. There's no way I can lift on this hip. My MRI did show that I still have that, and then when I went to the surgeon, the labral tear. Sorry, have that. But and then the surgeon took another x-ray, and it's still just persistently not healing. So I am scheduled for an outpatient surgery, which a lot of surgeries are outpatient now. That is scheduled for March 25th. So after that, I'm going to be on crutches for like 4 to 6 weeks. They think it might be closer just to the 4 weeks mark, because I am, like, even though my tear has not healed on its own, because I'm relatively young, they do expect my healing to go pretty smooth, which I'm hyped for. I'm so glad that they are like, we really have a lot of confidence in this. The surgery has like a 96 point something success rate. Like, that's fine. I'll take it at this point. Like, I am just so sick of being debilitated and being stuck in my own house and not being able to do the things that I want to do. I can't even drive right now. And like, you would think that something like driving, it's not like super strenuous when you actually do it, but it's my right hip, and that's where the pedals are, and I would not be able to, like, if there was an emergency situation, I would not be able to like brake quickly or anything like that. And so it's just not safe for me to do anything. I've just been trapped this whole time. And I think that's part of why my mental health has been going crazy. But anyway, that's where I'm at. If I have any other major updates, I will give them. But yeah, it is what it is, and what it is shitty. I really, really hate this insurance company. I will say one note about that though. After the incident with the CEO and allegedly a man named Luigi, allegedly, because I don't know. I've heard that the police mishandled the case, so we might never find out. After that happened, my adjuster did get a little more prompt with how he helped me for a little while. He also became a lot nicer. But other than that, like, I know that some companies were like, approve them for stuff, you know? Like, approve them. Like, approve the people. Jesus Christ. But, like, not my company. My company has not done that, if anybody's curious. They've just become a little bit more polite. I don't know. So anyway, that is the story. Thank you if you came all this way to the end. I appreciate you watching my video. I am going to try and get back into vlogging because part of me just feels that if I talk some of this stuff out, like, it's what I did before, and it is what got me, like, originally, like, people didn't really like it. I don't know why, because I was just talking about why the coping mechanisms that my therapist told me were helping. People don't always love that for some reason, which is like, move on, watch a different video. But I think I'm just gonna go back to just doing my rambly videos and just talking about what I want to talk about, because it used to bring me a lot of joy, and since I can't afford therapy and the insurance company is clearly not interested in helping me with that, I might as well just kind of take it into my own hands. Like, I have been trying to journal and make art and do stuff like that, but it is hard to find the motivation. It is easy to set up a camera and just talk to it. Like, it really is. So yeah, if you made it to this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Leave a like if you liked the video, and if you didn't, feel free to leave a dislike. Sorry if you didn't like it. Bye guys.